Well, looks like we're live. Sorry if I've coughed in your ear. Let me just make sure we are live here. I see the room has quite a few people. I believe she said it. Divine Renegade, good to see you. I'm not necessarily seeing my video live as yet. Oh, it looks like it is. So very good. Let me just make sure that I've got my P's and Q's here all buttoned up. Good to see Brian, Tommy, Francine Lausanne. That's a new name, Francine. Good to see you. John Dickerson, good to see you. Valerie Smith, Faith is the Way. Jane Baker. Jesus en la. Hola. Hola, mi nombre es Derek Bros. Good to see you. Sherry Sunshine, Teresa Miller, Simulation 7. Good to see all of you here. Diana Reeves, J Steele, TT, Soul Searcher 226X. Good to see you. Swedish Trucking. I love all the truckers that follow the channel. I appreciate that very much. Hopefully I make your over-the-road days a little bit easier, bringing you these truths. So I wanted to start off today. I'm going to address a few things because I received a very interesting email which made a lot of sense. So I'll explain to you why I'm going to address this, because I receive lots of emails. So many emails that it's almost impossible to keep up with them. And I receive emails that are important for me to read. Ones where people are contemplating suicide, ones where people have lost family members, they're asking questions, they're trying to find peace about something. And I try to respond to those because those are ones that a lack of response could cause more consternation. So I try to respond to those. But when my email box gets fully occupied by people sending me videos of people attacking me or claiming that I'm hacking their accounts, or not claiming that I'm hacking their accounts, but sending me videos about people claiming that I'm hacking their YouTube accounts, etc. So I want to address something and help the layman understand how things function. First of all, I can tell you right now that my legs and my butt hurt so bad because Malia has been kicking my butt at the gym for the past 3 days, and we've been doing some hiking up some mountains here. There's this mountain called Thumb Butte, which is an insanely difficult hike. So she takes me to work out my legs one day and then takes me to hike the mountain the next day. So it was, we've been spending our time just getting fit. And of course, you know, she's a former bodybuilder, so she's kicking my butt. And, you know, I spent the better part of 5 years working out on a very different weight pile, a weight pile filled with these incredible things. But why I wanted to address this is that when I receive hundreds of emails that occupy my inbox that are bringing up these videos, it's a pointless exercise because first and foremost, and I'll address this right now, no, I am not hacking anybody's account. Why would I ever spend the amount of time that would be required to do such a thing? First of all, as I've said before, YouTube is not necessarily hackable. Somebody getting into your account and logging into your account from another machine, yes, this can happen. But when that happens, YouTube sends you a notification and lets you know that somebody has tried to log into your account from another machine, that it hasn't logged into it before. So the protection mechanism that a YouTube or any of these social media accounts use is a two-feature, essentially, authentication. It authenticates where you are connecting from, and you approve that connection. Many of you have received those emails when you log into a new machine or from a new cell phone. You get that email that says somebody tried to log into your account. So if you didn't receive that, then the account that logged into your YouTube account is yours and from your machine. And that is tracked by an IP address and a MAC address. A MAC address is your actual identity of your hardware. These things are, that MAC address is not replaceable elsewhere. So your machine's identity is its identity. Your cell phone has its own identity. It's like a DNA, or even better than a fingerprint, because the hardware identification comes with what size SIM you have, what size memory card you have, and it changes based on that identity. So just to let you know, no, I'm not hacking anybody's account. Now, is there weird stuff that these people are showing on their videos? Because I've gotten hundreds of emails about it. I'm not going to tell you that somebody's not monkeying with them, but it might be somebody in their own family or on their own machine. I don't know what they're doing. To me, it looks like they're making up stuff. So, because I don't have the wherewithal, nor do I have the energy, nor do I even have the equipment that I would have had as a penetration tester. Just to help you understand what a penetration tester is. A pen tester is a person that tests a corporate network. He literally hacks that network to provide that company with the ability to then block potential vulnerabilities within his network. That's what a pen tester does. And in order to do that, it's required for you to use a very different operating system, a very different setup. And that would be Linux, or operating or an OS called Kylie or something like that. Black Arch, or one of the major pen testing OSs out there. So no, I am not hacking anybody's account, but I did get this email, and I want to show you this email and read it to you. So let me share my screen here. 1 second. Uno momento. So this email I received from AnonIdea. And I've just blocked out the email address here for just out of respect for this person. I'm sending it from Proton Mail. Now, Proton Mail is an encrypted mail that any good anon would use if they were doing activities that they wanted to cover their tracks. So this to me showed me that this person is most likely an authentic anon. It says, "Greetings, I am sending this to you as I see that you are getting accused of penetrating YouTube accounts of other users. Little children should know better about the complexities of such an act and the length of time required to do such a task. As a fellow anon, we have taken a liking to you and the veracity at which you speak, as our research has shown us the very same things which we discuss on our private Discord server. There are a few that have published some findings you may want to share. There is a person, a woman, that is paying these channels for accusing you. Yes, you know who she is. She is working with another woman in California to do this as well. We want you to know that we have already proven that their accounts were not penetrated. Further, we have validated many accounts as coming from single people. So multiple YouTube accounts that are coming from single individuals. Also, one account called End of Line is a purchased account, as evident by the subscriber count being high, yet very few viewers to videos, which I will show you right now, because this is something I found interesting, and this is how I would validate this person. So let me share my screen one more time with you here and show you this. So this is the End of the Line account that he's speaking of. You see 16,901 subscribers. You see a bunch of attack videos about me with 127 views, 209 views, 115 views. Obviously, if this person had 16,000 subscribers, there are attack channels of mine, like Eden and the other people, that they have 300 subscribers and they get more views than this. So with that said, what this most likely is a purchased account. So there are people that build up accounts and they purchase subscribers. And in purchasing subscribers, essentially, these are just bot accounts. They're just bot. That's why they don't respond to a posted live video. It just increases the subscription count, so people think that they have a lot of subscribers. Now, on my channel, you see that, for instance, a video that I posted a month ago, I have 50,000 views. Obviously, my subscribers are authentic subscribers because they're actually watching and responding by the thumbs up and the thumbs down, which is why I emphasize the importance of that, to show that you're an authentic person watching the video and that it's not a bot. Because YouTube does do cleanup operations where they will begin to eliminate and take away subscribers. For instance, subscribers that aren't very active or create an account just to make one comment. Those get scrubbed later on by YouTube. If they're not actively involved, then they'll take my subscriber count down. And this happened with Rex, and this happened with Oppenheimer Ranch Project as we were discussing this, that each one of them lost like 900 subscribers during YouTube's purge. They do that once a year. So with that said, I want to also point out the fact that this person is speaking of in this video, in this email. Let me go back to this email again. Let me see if I can find this email. Sorry, one moment. If you read, he says that this is paid opposition. So, you know who she's working for? She's working with a woman in California. We want you to know that we've already proven their accounts were not penetrated further. We've validated the accounts. Go down to subscriber count being high, very few viewers to videos. I felt you should be made aware of these people that are paid opposition. As you know, YouTube has all IP addresses and all MAC address information to logins to specific accounts, including all location data. So they will see very quickly that they are designing this story and have no valid claim. It is ironic, to say the least, that they call you a cyberbully when the channels themselves are doing exactly the same that they accuse you of. Yes, we have been watching you too and see your activities which do not include what they speak of. In fact, I see you using Windows, like I was saying, which we know has its inadequacies for the activities spoken. I'm in the UK, so monitoring has been much easier for me on the paid trolls that you have encountered. So he's speaking of the people that live in the UK. You should be aware the woman is making payments to those as she does live and operate from your state. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this person. We located an audio file of her speaking to some people, and it is highly incriminating with regards to what is discussed. Should you ever need or want this to be public, simply say so. We will continue monitoring these people in the defense of a fellow Anon who has done more for many of us than we could speak of in revealing these things you have. As terrible as these people seem, they are entirely pathetic in their lack of understanding of how things operate. They continually share their private information with us as we have infiltrated their group as supporters. To be clear, they may be getting paid. However, I would never lower the meaning of professional to include such people. The one who thinks he is Jesus, and I've spoken of him, which is quite funny, especially odd as he has a serious drug problem that seems obvious to anyone that has seen him. And I will send you all the documentation we have gathered when the roundup is complete. So, with that said, this paid opposition to what we do. First of all, Christ promised this, and I'll read to you here. Let me see. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. So they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So he promised this, which I've always said, let that be a confirmation. So when people send me emails and inundate my email box with this, it's actually not helpful, and I'm not getting to the emails that I actually need to get to. So I would ask you, please don't send me these. And more importantly, this is my request to anybody, because obviously I have 53,000 followers, 53,400 followers. If anybody is out there monkeying with these people, regardless of whether they hate me and you're angry, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't need defense. Truth doesn't need defense. So please don't mess with these people. If you're out there monkeying with their accounts, don't do it. If you're out there taunting them, don't do it, please. If you're even watching their videos, you're helping them. You're helping them accomplish what they want, because then people get these recommended videos of this nonsense. So I would say, stop supporting them. If you're subscribed to their channel so you can see the attacks that people have against me, unsubscribe. Don't support them in any way, shape, or form. They're paid opposition, and I believe that's become very clear. So, and the reason why I would say that's clear is that I'm a channel that has 53,000 subscribers, and I'm going to show you something right here. There is another person, and her channel is AnonIdea. Now, in this, these attackers claim that they're upset because I make their God, Yahweh, out to be the beast. Well, here's a 36,000 view video from AnonIdea, and this is just one of hundreds and hundreds of videos that she has, essentially saying the same thing. They're not attacking her, and she has 75,000 subscribers. Here you have Santos Bonazzi. Santos Bonazzi basically speaks the same things that I'm speaking. Mr. Astrology is his channel. He has 112,000 subscribers. They're not attacking him. So when they make claims that they're trying to salvage or save or help the body of Christ and defend against these things, again, truth doesn't need any defense. But you have to question the source and question the motive. So this is where the motive to me begins to make sense in these things, is that they are paid opposition by one person. Now, I'm going to let Malia on her own time discuss this person, because the reason why this person, who I've just only named by first name, her name is Jerry. Now, she came to a gathering, and many of the people that were there with her are still followers to this day, still subscribers to the channel, and I still do communicate with. So they all warned me about this person and her obsession over me. I was also warned about this person's obsession and the conversations that she had with my family, because she basically, after this gathering, moved out without any invitation. Just moved out, literally, and started moving her things into the house. Now, I thought my sister had invited her. My sister thought I had invited her. So we didn't really figure it out for a few days. Now, this person had a history. Her history was that she left her first husband for a spiritual guru. And she left him to be with this spiritual guru and build a compound, which is what she tried to do with me by selling a property. Now, she's married to another man who I feel incredibly bad for. Now, she wanted to buy property for the ministry and was like, nope, I'm going to buy property for this ministry and I don't want anybody to know. So she said all the right things. But ultimately, in the end, she was trying to run this ministry, and in fact, told many people that she was my partner in the ministry. Now, enter Malia into my life, and this became a real problem. So she had a 2-hour conversation with Malia on the phone, basically designed to try to split me and Malia up, told her things that were just unbelievable, that this compound would be a sex ranch, and this is where you get all this. She was very, very much focused, and that Malia would have to share me with her and others. Now, this ended in a very abrupt get away from me conversation. So I didn't want anything to do with a person that would stoop to such a level. But this person had convinced her husband to do things like sell property to buy this property. And then she got stuck in that situation. And so what you have is, I wouldn't even call it sour grapes. I'd call it a woman scorned. So Malia and I have had these conversations, and obviously Malia is a journalist. So her 2-hour conversation was less about talking and more about listening. And so I'm going to let Malia disclose that conversation when she feels appropriate, because it is this person that is then working with another person in order to try to accomplish this. This is just all bad business. And this person had gone to the authorities, made all sorts of fake accusations about me. The authorities came, questioned me, and then found out that they were lies, and that the things that she was accusing me of were things that she was actually doing. So this is why this is why Jerry does not want to tell her story. So I'm encouraging you, Lori, and everybody else that continues to listen to this person, understand that when you learn the details of who she is and what she's doing, you're going to feel awfully bad about the things that you've made up about me, even if you don't like me. And I'm sorry that you don't like me. I'm sorry that you don't like what I'm saying. But it's not going to stop me from speaking the truth about what I've been shown. And if you truly do love people, and your motive is truly speaking the truth that helps people, you have to question yourself. What are you doing? Because you thank the Cummings for giving you a platform to attack me. So that is your platform. Your platform isn't about speaking the truth of the Gospels, or that's what you would be doing. Let your truth be your truth. Let you speak the truth that you're intended to speak, and let those that are intended to hear it, hear it. If you want to save souls, then go save the souls. Because the fruit that I have as a result are people that want to hear what I have to say. I don't frown on you saying what you want to say. I want to come to your channel and attack your channel. I've already seen that you've deleted my comments, which you said were vile and disgusting, which I read, which weren't. You deleted all of Malia's very benign questions and comments on your channel. Anybody that destroys your, I would say, your narrative about us being hateful and disgusting, well, then you delete them. So speak your truth, and I'll speak mine. This is the last time I will be addressing any of these people, any of them. And I'm going to let you know right now that I have no interest in reading any emails or comments about anybody attacking me. It's a pointless exercise. I've expected, just like I said, as I was reading, that Christ promised that we would receive this treatment. So just understand that that promise confirms everything that I'm speaking. So I won't address this again. I encourage these people, David, Eden. I don't think that you're bad people at all. And I don't think Lori's a bad person. But something is in you that is making you have such hatred and such vitriol. Forget it. It's a pointless exercise. And I've witnessed a real disease on YouTube. And I want to say this, be careful about the time that you spend on YouTube, because it seems that people have created these accounts. It's really, truly a narcissistic attitude. You know, it's amazing, people talking about me being narcissist. The narcissist is all about that platform, is all about serving themselves and creating a self-righteousness about what they're doing. I don't want you to think that I'm righteous, because obviously in my testimony, I've disclosed to you how much of my life was not righteous. And I spend all of my time today avoiding anger, avoiding craziness. That's why I tell you, avoid this stuff. Drop anger, drop hatred, drop consternation. Stop being upset. Stop being fearful. But yet, these people that claim that they want this peace are daily making physical threats against me. And nobody can see that these people making threats against me are acting though, and even making statements that they're Jesus, which would confirm what I say, that if you can be Christ, well, then we can all be Christ. So consider the source, consider what is going on, and consider the motive. Why would somebody do that? And why would I ever need to spend the time to go after a measly little channel that has 100 subscribers? I mean, it's just nonsense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I feel bad for them. David, I'm sorry that you think I'm attacking you. I'm not. Eden, I'm sorry that you think I'm attacking you. I'm not. Lori, I'm sorry if you think I'm attacking you. I think you can see in my comments, I'm not. I would pick up the phone and have a lengthy conversation with any of you. With any of you. In fact, many of the people that you think that are friends or followers of yours or supporters do actually do that, and do pick up the phone and call me. I'm willing to have a conversation with you, any of you, at any time, and nice, because I think everybody can see that I'm not that visceral person. Malia spends 24/7 with me. She knows. She can see. So this is just all about disrupting you. And Christ warned about denying these little ones a cup of water. Now, little ones, because he also said that if we want to enter the kingdom of God, that we must become like little children. And so when we enter into these truths, it is like learning to walk and first crawl and then walk again. It is. And so denying you what is freeing you from this world is essentially a confirmation of that scripture. So I want to read to you a comment by a gentleman. Let me find it here. And this is a gentleman that I spent time with in prison. His name is Roy Staggs. Now, Roy said, sometimes we take the word out of context, and when this happens, it's because we have learned scripture from a man-made doctrine that exists, known false doctrines or mainstream religion, and within American churches. Now, keep in mind that this guy is a pastor. When we are gifted with a man sent from the Most High, there will also be them who are sent by darkness. Why? Because the enemy will try to stop the revelation of God's word and prophetic truth. In the years that I've known Derek, I've seen a true jewel of a man that has impacted my life and all those around him. And I must say, woe unto those them that speak acts or commits transgressions against him in full fact is rebelling against the truth and ministry of Jesus Christ. Remember, touch not my anointed. So, touch not my anointed. And if you recall my comments and my video about what being anointed is, that it's not a single anointing, that all of you receive that anointing as well. So, Stephanie Allen says, prove that you're a real human and hit that thumbs up button. Yes, so prove that there are not bots on my page. And although I would say that some people that you would think are human are probably bots as well. So if you have any questions, good to see you, Hopi NG. I appreciate you very much. Hopi knows what I'm talking about. He understands this. He understands the world of networks. He understands just how difficult something like that would be. And let me also express to you that people think that hacking is fully technological. Let's take Edward Snowden to help you understand what hacking is. Edward Snowden's hacking was never about breaking into a network. Did he get into the NSA's highly classified files? Yes, he did. Did he do that by hacking? Not from a technological standpoint. So hacking is social engineering. It's lots of things. His social engineering was utilizing his influence to move throughout the agency to get to a place where he had access to it, and then he could release that information. So in that, that's a social hack. Hacking a network like YouTube, yes, banks get hacked, but those are all database hacks. People don't hack an individual's account unless you have been convinced to give somebody your actual account information, like I said. So a person would have to social engineer you, convincing you to give your personal private information to them, that they would work on your account for you or do something for your benefit. They would convince you that they were trustworthy. That takes an incredible amount of time. Hacking into somebody's account without having any idea what their email address or any of that is not possible. A database hack of an entire system can be possible, particularly when it's more centralized, like a banking system. A decentralized or cloud-based system like YouTube is not possible in the database. Otherwise, like I said, massive political opposition parties would be doing exactly that against people and opposition videos of them throughout YouTube. So like I said, consider the source, consider who and what and where they come from and what their agenda is. If I've busted down their temple or the source of these two people, the two women, both of them had a physical interest in me, both of them, and I denied both of them. Obviously, there comes, as Malia said, a woman scorned. So I'll let her speak, like I said, about that in her time, if she so sees fit. I really don't think it's necessary. I think it's a pointless exercise. These folks are just very, I would call, lonely and need attention and want to feel like that they are accomplishing something. I would encourage you to accomplish something by speaking the truth of the gospel that you speak. And if the gospel that you speak is true and truly frees people, well, then you will see the fruit of that. But you cannot save people through hate. You cannot save people, David, through the hate. I believe, David, that you and Eden actually have a lot of truths. Many of the same things that you say, with the exception of Paul, I can disagree with you on, but that's fine. And you speak the truths just like Kingdom of Truth, just like anybody else that are speaking these truths. I will help, but I'm certainly not going to promote channels of hate, because that's not who Christ is. That's not who he was, and it's not justified in anything except a Roman version so they could then go and put people back into line. So if anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer your questions. If not, I want to tell you that I am currently putting together a, I've recognized that I have a real passion, a real heart for inmates, because they are already broken off from the world. They are so much closer to understanding Christ than anybody else, because they're separated from the world entirely. And so for me, I need to be able to speak to them. The only way I can speak to them is not, obviously, although illegal phones do make it into prisons and things, but that's not a way to fully get into a prison. That books are. So although I don't necessarily agree with writing these truths, in order for me to get this message into the prisons, I am going to be writing a book that can be freely distributed to them, and that people can bring into, that other organizations can bring into the prisons and give to them. They do spend a lot of time, obviously, reading books. They are some of the best readers I've ever seen are inmates in prison. So I will be putting that together, and I'll be taking time doing that. So if I'm seen as being here on this channel less, it's because I'm focused on writing that. And I also, if anybody is so interested, I will share this so you can see. I have a Twitter account called rightly_divided. So twitter.com/rightly_divided. You can go and follow me on Twitter. I will probably have things here that I don't necessarily have up in this channel, because I don't want to inundate the channel with tweets, essentially. And so you can follow me there. As I said, Nanya, that channel, and also Santos Banucci, great channels. I recommend definitely watching their videos. They're terrific, very, very smart people. Nanya is her in-depth understanding of the scriptures, and what she's been shown is remarkable. So for all of you that have been offended by these videos, I'll apologize to you. And if and just as in the way that I've always spoken of before, if any of these people feel that I've offended them by the things that I teach them, I'm sorry that I've offended you. But it's not going to change the words that I speak and the truth that I speak and what I've seen. So I will be back here with more to share with you when I can and when I have time. I do want to talk to you about this book here, The Imitation of Christ. And if any of you can find it, this is a book from the 1800s. Asking, does Dorothy still need help with her park fees? Excuse me. She did, I believe, receive, I know that I sent her almost the amount that she needed, and somebody had committed in sending by snail mail to her, and I provided P.O. Box for them. So I believe that she is receiving almost everything that she needs. The PayPal pool is still up, although nobody's donated since the first, I think, day and a half. And but it is still up, so you can go back to that video and click on that PayPal pool, and whatever's put in there, I just transfer to her directly. It just allows me to be able to know what people have given her, since I'm the one that has encouraged the fundraising. I just want to be able to know what she got to make sure that she does get it and have an accounting of that, so I can't be accused by these paid opposition of taking people's money, and I have a full accounting of exactly where that goes. So Mark Manning is asking me, we must talk, please. Right, Mark, if you've sent me an email to dbros@gmail, like I said, there's a lot of emails in there that I mean, I've got, as you saw in that one email, I've got 2,000 unread emails. So it's, it can be a daunting task. I apologize. Leslie says, I need help with meditation, what to listen to or not listen to. Yes, people have also accused, saying that the music that I have is the enemy's frequency. Nonsense. And here's the other thing. The music that I have, just to help everybody understand, comes from a group called 2 Steps from Hell. Nick Phoenix, he's a phenomenal composer, has been composing for movies. He's incredible. It's remarkable that they don't attack him for his music, but they attack me for playing his music. So he's been supported. Nick has received, since there's an ad because of his music in my channels that goes up, that he receives the monetization, since my channel's not monetized. So he's received that, and I love their work. They are phenomenal. It is not an enemy frequency. I can tell you that the tuning on those instruments within that typical orchestra is not tuned to 440 megahertz. So I can tell you without a fact that it is not the 440 megahertz tuning. Most orchestras do not tune to that. So particularly not when they're doing as complex of work that they're doing. 440 is primarily for pop songs that have a 4-chord pattern progression. Most pop songs are all off the same 4 chords and the same 440 frequency. So yes, it is beautiful music. And the other thing is that worship is bringing you into the spirit and settling your spirit. It is a preparation for hearing truth. It's a preparation for softening your heart, drowning out the nasty frequencies of the world. That's what worship is all about. That's what having worship before a service would really be about. Now, that is for somebody to say that they love worship but then hate music or frown upon that. They need to think a little bit about that. Yes, you're correct, Paul, 432 megahertz. So Derek, Joshua tree, please. I don't know what that means, Deborah. I had a video that I spoke about Joshua tree. So maybe you can clarify that question. So I see we have 13 thumbs down. I'm sure that that's the same 4 accounts. I still love them too, you know. I still love even my haters, because the reality is that you can't. You even have to find compassion for the enemy in this world, because if we are all judged as a result of the fall, of the things that the enemy has caused within us, then you have to go all the way back to the beginning and forgive those, or you could just simply blame Adam and Eve, according to the scriptures, right? So forgiving them, forgiving those that would even deceive them, having the ability to forgive them allows you to forgive yourself. And that's what I speak about quite often. So I saw somebody mention Malia, so she's in the room. Hi. And yes, we do live together, by the way. People saying, oh, they're never together. They don't live together. We're always together, 24/7. Yes, most music since the 80s are recorded at 440 megahertz, and that's actually the tuning of the instruments. There's a few videos out there. You can look at the differentiation of the tuning of instruments and when they started that. But as I said, I'm going to be speaking about the Imitation of Christ and also a very large strategy that took place in this country, in the United States primarily, an effort to change the Gospels. And again, this came down to making sure that Christ was separated from people within. And this is why Christ warned that if they say I'm over there or I'm over there, don't believe them, because the kingdom is within you. So this, although there's some really, really interesting truths in there, just the very name, the imitation of Christ, like that it separates Christ from within you, that you have to imitate him. So in the subtlety of these languages were the changes within the church structure and the teachings that took place in this country to really dominate the world in the way that the gospel was preached and the way that it was understood. And there was a great effort, very well-financed effort, to make sure that every single, in the 1800s, that every single major pastor and theologian had this book, and many other ones that were written, designed to change the way that they understood on how to teach and speak about the gospel of Christ. And so we're going to get into that a little bit, because it was a very different time. And if you actually read things that where people had written or spoken about the gospel of Christ in the 1600s, it was quite different than it is now. And the other thing is that's also when the Hebrew letters had changed and the name Jesus came in. So there was never an understanding of the name Jesus until after that had been accomplished. And like I said, it primarily all started because of this country, not necessarily because of the government of this country, but the establishment of this country, that they were propping this place up already to be the purveyor of this new truth to the rest of the world, which it had become. So by financing, by money, money makes everything in the world go round, obviously, which is why all evil yields from money. It is the beast system itself. So, Mark Manning, way out of touch with info. Mark, I saw that you posted your phone number in here. I'll try to give you a call today. I'm not quite sure what you need to speak about, but or what you're conveying here, but I'll try to give you a shout. And if you already have my phone number, then text me so I can just respond to it. Let's see. Should we convene a new Council of Nicaea? No. Nope. You just have to spread this gospel. You have to spread this truth. Forming yet another council allows the enemy to corrupt it. This is why I don't necessarily agree with writing down things, because in that people's translation of those words, the enemy then can take control of those things. So that's why speaking about them from a verbal standpoint I believe is far more effective. And yes, perfect, Allison, live by example, living in Christ, being humble enough to have a conversation like I'm having with you today, being willing to expose these things and show these things and talk about these things. It's difficult. I don't like bringing anybody's name up in any of it. I don't like it. It's amazing. I was talking to Malia this morning about it, and she doesn't hold anything. She doesn't have any aggressive feelings towards any of these people, more sadness than anything, because she hears pain. She can hear their loneliness. She can see all of that. And that's why I love her, because she sees things in the same way that I see things. And so Atiana Marie, Global Witness, Yahusha, Aramaic name or no? Yes, that's the ancient Hebrew. So Aramaic is essentially ancient Hebrew. So yes, that is Yahusha or Yahshua would be his name. The name took on, as I said, when they entered the letter J into the Hebrew alphabet, then they took the Greek meaning of what they called Christos and named it Jesus. But Jesus has some other connotations that also, just like they've done with everything else, point to their paganistic aspect of it. So being Zeus, that Zeus is within the name. So there's always a way that they have that they have manipulated these things and convinced people to worship their gods while think that they're worshiping their own. So, Edward, you're late. Good to see you. David Gregg says, I believe we've recently have been attacked in one way, form or another. There's no question about it. You know, I was talking to Malia about this the other night. I said that, you know, there is a palpable feeling of, very palpable, that you can feel it, an oppression, that if you give into that it makes you want to lash out at things that aren't even there, or be angry at something that really wouldn't make you angry otherwise. Very irritable, very agitated. And that has been happening now. I would say that there's been a consistent pressing of that, a consistent energy, at least from our perspective here, for about 2 weeks. And it's in those times that I suggest that you be quiet, that you meditate, that you read, you separate yourself even more, prevent yourself from opening your mouth, prevent yourself from responding. The response that you get is what I've always spoken of as that Vesica Pisces system, that when somebody pokes at you, something pokes at you, question whether your reaction will be appropriate, because what Christ does is allows you to see the results of your reaction before you've even done it. And so that is a elevated consciousness. That's what Christ is. That elevated consciousness allows you to foresee the results before you even act. So practice that. That's the meditation, is seeing the results of what you do before you do them. Theodora asks, can I explain the basics of Lilith? It's much talk and guessing right now. Well, Lilith in ancient scriptures was Adam's first wife, and that she refused to be with him. And so she spoke the ineffable name of God and then was cast out and became a demon, a demon that haunts people today and still kills babies out of jealousy. So that's the basics of Lilith. So Lilith today would be a spirit, which I think that we witness in people. And given the amount of abortions that we have allowed to take place in the world, I would say that Lilith is alive and well. Lisa says, Derek, I think that you should provide supporters with an explanation as to what did happen with Witness in the Desert. This really is not clear. Lisa, I spoke about everything that took place at Witness in the Desert on the live videos after the fact. The reality was, and let me just cover this. The reality was, we were in communication with a family that lives inside the monument, inside Monument Valley. They were going to handle everything with the park services. They instructed us that they would take care of it, which they eventually did go to the park services and let them know that we were coming in, which is why at the last minute the park services didn't allow us in, and why they went after the lady that said that we could come in. So it wasn't us trying to usurp any kind of permit, because we are not a profit venture, and so all of their permits are required for for-profit ventures. And since this was not a for-profit venture, we did not require a for-profit permit for filming. So we would be no more than just tourists filming, and that the guides that we would have would take us into the places that we were allowed to go. Never were we trying to access places that they wouldn't actually take us. And so they were actually guides. That family that lives in the valley are guides. So yes, we did everything we were supposed to do. We didn't try to usurp anything. What made it so frustrating for the authorities there is that we were supporting a family inside that park. Now they have disputes with families inside those parks. There's not many families. There's very few families. They have a dispute with families inside those parks. They're trying to starve them out because those families are actually entitled to 25% of all revenues of the park. A deal that was made with those families to allow the park services to run the property that they've owned since the 500s. So they have been trying to starve these families out because they owe them tens of millions of dollars because they've never paid them a dime from the deal that they made in 1958. So that we were coming in and we were helping this family and donating, that we were going to help work on their property, became a real agitation. And there's also other things where people have accused us of, they've accused me of trying to go there and awaken some demons or do something like that because other people's comments. Let me just say this. I am not responsible for anything that any of you say. You're not responsible for anything that I say. And if we are, then we're all in deep trouble, right? Because if I'm responsible for what some of you say, well, then some of what you say, I'm not going to castigate you for, or to get down on you for saying something that I disagree with. That's not my place. I'm not here to regulate you. That's not my job. That's none of our jobs. The Father regulates us through our consciousness. He works with us directly. We self-correct. That's the whole point of Christ, is that you become part of that body and you act appropriately within that body. So the things that we've been accused of what somebody else said, I'm not addressing what somebody else said. I only can handle and I can only address things that I've said and things that I was doing. No, we were not going to awaken any spirits. We were going to see the legends and what these ancient prophecies between the Hopi and the Navajo mean, and see some of the petroglyphs and try to decipher what they actually mean and whether they comply with our present day understanding of them. Because the teaching of those prophecies, I believe, is quite different than what is actually on those walls in those petroglyphs. There's also some other things about that valley being the #1 supplier of uranium. So there was a bit of an issue there. There is also wars that go on. Now, keep in mind that the Navajo people themselves have had 2 civil wars just in the last 80 years, 2 civil wars amongst each other, including the tribal council, which is why the tribal council didn't like us supporting them, because they've had civil wars between each other. These are things that don't get publicized. And believe me, they have no problem using force, which we witnessed. So no, there was never any time that we were doing any of the things that these people have accused us of. Not one time. No, I didn't leave people high and dry. No, I wasn't being irresponsible. I was protecting people by leaving the park because they were coming with guns and force. So I was acting as responsibly as I could. I'm not responsible for other people that weren't around, that didn't stick around, that weren't staying in communication. Was not responsible. There was constant communication with the authorities there through a mediator that was up there. We were always in communication with them. We were always discussing, which is why I spent 90% of my time on a walkie-talkie. So I've addressed those, and I've addressed that in the videos. If anybody is going to fall away from the truth because of anything that anybody says and makes these accusations in these videos, it's complete nonsense. If you don't go back and you don't watch and do your own research and see, I have no interest in addressing people's hate. Because, like I said, I avoid it at all costs. I avoid any craziness. I really try to stay away from things. People that are building these communities, I can help. I try to advise them, try to give them good advice. I don't want to be a part of things to where I'm some authority figure in it. That's not my job. My job is to speak the truths that I've been shown, and that's it. There are other people that are more pastoral in nature, that they're more there to hold your hand, coddle you, give you advice. That's not necessarily my job. There are other people that are better at that. Those are some of you here in the body. That's your job. This is where you find your job. Your job to have conversations with people and work with them through different issues as they go along. My job is to explain the things like Billy Mack says, the humane gospel of truths, which we will also get into, and I've already spoken about some of those. So, with that said, anyone else have any other questions while we're getting this out of the way? Because like I said, this is the last time I'm going to address this, ever. I won't address these people ever again because it's a pointless exercise, and all it does is gives them, makes them feel empowered somehow. That, oh, somehow, right? All of these lies that they say, then I respond, and they think, oh, well, there must be some truth to it because he responded. So it's it has a negative impact. Even if I respond, it doesn't matter. They're just accusers, and that's all there is. And there's no truth. They've already been proven to be untrue many times, saying, I'm not in prison. I showed my prison ID. I never served time in prison. Crazy that I would have to defend against ever going to prison. That I didn't work for Microsoft, I proved that. That I didn't work for Paramount, I proved that. That I didn't have anything to do with Kazaa, I proved that. So every single time they make an accusation and I prove against it, should be all you need to know and consider the source, that at some point in time when that clock has given you the wrong time consistently over and over and over, you should understand that the clock is broken. Derek, are the Psalms dedicated to God or Jehovah? Well, I would say that the Psalms writers, right? Obviously, many of the Psalms writers are not known. Many people try to attribute all of them to David exclusively, but that's just not the case, because there are quite different Psalms. So I would say that some of them are to the Father and some of them are to Jehovah. And again, we've spoken about anybody that wants to give the Father a name, or any God within the scriptures that gave himself a name, isn't the Father. That obviously one that says, you shall have no other gods before me, is acknowledging that there are other gods before him. And the Father of all knows that there are no other gods before him, so why would he even worry about it? This is why I say the jealous God, the angry God, the wrathful God, a God that is angry and wrathful at his own creation. There's something wrong with that. It's the same reason why if you were perfect and your children were perfect, you would never have to be upset with them. So it would stand to reason that a perfect God creating a perfect creation would never ever need to be upset. And that's why I say the Father is never angry with you. There's no such thing. He doesn't have wrath in him. Only the God of this world has wrath in him. The Father just begs you to forget the world and forget the accusations held against you, so you can return to his side clean, pure in heart, not stained with the sin that the enemy has held over you, because only the enemy holds the sin over you. The Father doesn't. And you will hold that against yourself and stop yourself from standing with the Father. That's how this functions. So let's see. Mark Manning says, you are iron sharpening iron, brother, polishing my armor, brother. I appreciate that. Iron does sharpen iron. So we keep each other in love, keep each other in check. So if somebody has an issue, like I said, pick up the phone and call me. I'm happy to discuss those with you, including those that hate me and attack me. So all of you have my phone number, all of them. I've made my phone number available to all of them, just so you know. And yet have I heard from any of them, except one guy, this one guy that wears a mask on his videos. And he's primarily, he doesn't make videos attacking me, but I believe he's got a good heart. And so although sometimes he doesn't, he's a little bit moody, but I really do. I would love to talk with any of them, and they would understand, I believe, the error of their ways if they knew where these things are coming from, because it's all yielding from really two people. So Theodora says, first, Most High has no name. There were no parents to give him a name. Exactly. Robert Francis says, I wonder why Naughty's new identity, what Naughty's new identity may be. Does he have a new identity? I'm not quite sure. I haven't heard from him. Just so you know, I haven't heard from him at all. And I haven't spoken to anybody that has heard from him. So I believe that he may have just decided he's finished, which at some point, I'll be finished here. I'll be finished speaking the message. I'll be finished with all of these pieces, and the body of work will be the body of work. And it doesn't mean that people won't find it. In fact, the crazy part is that I get more subscribers when I don't make videos. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, if I make a video and I don't make a video for a week, I'll gain, I'll get 500 subscribers in just a few days when I don't make videos. So it's quite remarkable. Let me go to this. Again, Rightly Divided on Twitter, if you want to follow me on Twitter. And let me try to get to your comments here again, try to answer a few more questions. And Lori Chavez says, we must remain in positive, loving spirit, Christ spirit, in thoughts, words, actions, feelings, in our energy, censor ourselves, each thought, word, action, feeling. Please, brothers and sisters, yes. As I said, stop supporting the hateful channels. Stop even giving them a view. If you are subscribed to them, unsubscribe, because that only helps them with their hate-filled messages. So do your part. And because I know that, you know, when I can tell based on just the basic analytics of looking at this, is that the vast majority of the views that they get on videos are many of you. So stop. Don't give them those views. Because what happens when you do give them the views, it causes an interest in it from a YouTube algorithm standpoint, and then start suggesting it to people. That's how it works. So Kathleen Sharp says, Jeff P says he drops into his chat now and then, but doesn't really say anything. Don't know who Jeff P is. Was the great sign in heaven, John Roberts says, was the great sign in heaven September 23rd, 2017? Love to you. Yes, it was. Horse with no name. Bro Derek, through what you've said thus far, you've introduced me to my Heavenly Father. I've had no earthly dad or anything of sorts. To this, I cannot thank you enough. I feel much love for you. Thank you very much. That's the kind of confirmation that I'm speaking of. That's the kind of fruit that I'm speaking of. That when people are seeking the scriptures and they're reading Christ's words and they're seeking his meanings behind those, that's all I can ever ask. I can't ask for anything more than that. And so when you find the Father on your own. And for many people that have been seeking their whole lives and gone to church and never ever found that within Christianity, but they're finding it within the understanding of the way that I'm explaining these things, to me speaks volumes for itself. This is why I say it doesn't need any defense. The truth doesn't need to be defended. So don't defend it. Just ignore the haters. They're going to be there. Christ promised it. Amanda B says, things are getting very strange down under, mate. And I found my sister, or my father, sir. Thank you. I'm very, very happy that you found your father. And I've been hearing from people down under, and yes, I hear things are getting a little bit crazier. Callie, any opinion on Jeffrey Daugherty? I love Jeffrey. I don't always agree with the things that he teaches, but I love him. Like I said, why would I go after Jeff? Why would I attack Jeff? It's nonsense. Derek, are we in the beginning of the last 7 years of tribulation? I would say that we're in it, yes. But it's going to get much, much worse. I posted in the community section an anon video, and I suggest watching that, because that video will wake you up to yet a symptom. These are just symptoms. So it's not the entire beast system, but it is the symptom of the beast. Wally Santana, my email is dbroes@gmail.com. Let me see. Lisa Palmer, do you believe that God will allow us to go through any hell before he takes us? If you haven't recognized, Lisa, that we're in hell already, that this is the place of weeping and gnashing of teeth, then I would go back on the Alpha Omega playlist and watch more, because yes, this is not, everything in this world dies. This is the death system. You have to leave death into life. And that is recognizing who you are, recognizing that the Spirit of Christ and the kingdom is within you, having that kingdom alive, having that kingdom cleansed of you and this flesh and everything that would inhibit it, everything that would be accused of the enemy, repenting from all of that. When you've repented from that and you literally throw it away, recognizing that you don't have to beg God to forgive you, You've already been forgiven. The real task is you accepting the forgiveness that he's already offered. That's where the accuser, will accuse you day and night to prevent you from accepting that. The minute that you've thrown that sin away, the enemy's going to say to you, you can't just forget that you did those things. And he's going to accuse you day and night. You need to learn to ignore that. Let's see. Nathan M. Can I have your number to discuss come out of her, my people, in his law on this earth, giving up the dead man and declaring yourself a living child of God? Come out of her, my people, I believe, is Babylon. So that's what's referred to in Revelation, where it speaks of come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sin and the wrath. Because that's coming. That when people realize that all of the atrocities, all of them, the atrocities over the last 500, 1,000 years have been committed on behalf of the same people that are driving this country today. Many of them, it's unbeknownst to them that they've been doing this. They think that they're building something. That's how sly the enemy has been. He's built this up, but this country is going to be seen as controlling the evil of the world through its monetary systems. Tracy says, ignore, ignore, ignore. Yes, ignore, ignore, ignore. Everything is inside you. Look inside. That's where it all lives. Carol Parsons says, Chevy hat, does that mean you love us again or subscribe back? I'm not quite sure what that means, but it's only the Chevy hat because it was cold outside this morning and I threw it on just to cover my bald head because I don't have a whole lot of hair on my head. So I'm not a Chevy fan. It's a comfortable hat. Let me see. Gemma Church says, Derek, will you eventually address the Christ story within the body, your physical ones? Yes, Gemma. I mean, I'm constantly addressing that, the body within the physical ones. We can talk about in depth what that body looks like in formation, but that's really up to each individual person. I'm providing my portion right now in what I speak and what I've helped put together and helping people discuss and build a family and work within Discord and have the networks and the platforms available to them that they can work with each other and figure out their positions and their places within that body. And I believe that that is the most helpful. So the Cummings, I see the Cummings are here. Good to see you. The Ark rules the world. Yes, the Archons. Let me see. Beyond Earth knowledge. Derek, were the Aeons like Sophia, the first children of the Father, or were they his brothers and sisters? This has been very unclear to me. The Aeons, if you read the Nag Hammadi texts and you go through those, you'll discover that the Aeons were, I would call them, look at those as angels before the fact, before they fall, before they fell. So that they had a very, very different life, a very different task. And the Aeons would still exist today, and they would help guide you through this, essentially this impending war that we have coming on. We are not battling in this three-dimensional space currently. It takes place in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and all the way up to the 9th. As I've shown and talked about in that one message that I had that's about the Andromedan message. Allison Cooper, Derek, thoughts on Jonathan Kleck? I like Jonathan. I think Jonathan has found his gift and he can see the enemy and all of these things. I don't necessarily agree with, or it doesn't resonate with me with how he approaches some things, but I do believe that Jonathan is a very, very good man. I believe he's a genuine person. I've seen him be attacked as bad, if not worse, than I have. So, and I've seen him persevere. So I have a tremendous amount of love for him. I've never spoken with him. That's one person that I've not spoken with. I would love to speak with him. And then I've reached out to him a few times and haven't heard back, but maybe one day I will. All in Father's time. I don't push or press for anything. So let me see. The Ghetto Conservative. When we go to sleep, do we wake up in a higher dimension? There are many things that speak to this, that when you sleep, that you are in a different state, in a different dimension. That's where dreams come from, and that's actually where the enemy can operate as well. That the enemy will give you dreams as well as the Father. So when I say the Father, I'm talking about the consciousness of the Father, which comes through all of us. That inside of us, we all know these truths. And inside of us, our consciousness is operating at a higher level. You just need to bring your present state of consciousness in touch with the higher level of consciousness that you have, which is where you remove the crown of thorns, take your mind out of prison, and now you have that halo. That's significant. The halo above Christ's head was always significant of and representative of a higher level of consciousness. Isabel says, Jacob Israel was on previously with Global Witness. Yes, Jacob, and here's a perfect example of being able to respectfully disagree with somebody. Now, Jacob and I have been on the phone many times, and we've had many conversations. He's a very genuinely sweet man. And he can say something to me that doesn't resonate with me. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't resonate with me. And then I say something that doesn't resonate with him. And but we can still love and respect each other's understanding of it, because we understand that we're all seeking this higher understanding, the higher learning that the Father has called us to do. We're seeking that kingdom, and we're trying to find the hidden messages where the enemy has hidden them intentionally. So that's how I recognize the fruit in somebody else. When somebody begins to attack, they become the protector of the dogma or of the religious organizations, while at the same time claiming that they're not a part of it, but yet teaching and espousing the same doctrines that the church has been pushing and forging on people since day one. Let me see. So Nathan, I made your comment visible here. We are called to commit reclamation of the remnant nation foretold in Scripture, and we can accomplish this here right now. Please, brothers, we can come out of her now. Yes, we are, by dying to this world. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to quit your job. That doesn't mean that you're going to go quit your job tomorrow. Being in this world and not of it is what you need to accomplish at this point in time, but also be prepared to be very uncomfortable, because things are going to get bumpy. Things are going to get very, very rough. And that's where also I encourage all brothers and sisters that also have so much hate in their heart to recognize that you're going to need all of us. We're all going to be needing each other. It's like those neighbors that treat each other like crap. When I lived in California, neighbors never wanted to talk to anybody. They didn't want to know their neighbors. They didn't want to be neighborly, right up until there was a major earthquake. And then they sure needed your help. And I was always willing to give it. And even in my worst, I was always willing to help my fellow man at all costs. So that's where I'm thankful that the Father has kept that alive in me and even strengthened it more so today. Yes, Isabel Sanchez says, all things hidden will be revealed. That's what apocalypse means. Father did not say how it would be done. You're it. Exactly. John Roberts, I was told that the New World Order was to begin in Australia. Is this true? No, I would say that that's not the case at all. There wouldn't be any, at least no scriptural precedence of that. The New World Order would be orchestrated out of the organization that has been planning for this for quite some time. It would be a United Nations run essentially by a very organized Roman Catholic, very organized Jewish, and a very organized Christian organization that would end up merging. And if you've noticed that already, that has begun with the Pope and one of the most popular imams in the Middle East signing an agreement that they're going to agree to work on essentially a one world church. Yes, Melinda Biddle, I just talked about this and just saw your comment. Duality is duality confined, primitive 37N88W, duality confined to the third. Yes, the third. We're actually referred to the third dimension because of the way that the dimension or the density works, but we are the first. We would be considered the first or the lowest of all densities. So yes, the duality takes place here. And in a fourth dimension, you could have a higher element of 3 dimensions. And when you get into the fourth and the fifth dimension, you would, this is according to obviously quantum mechanics and quantum theory, that in those you would have other dimensions that are not visible to our eyes. Our eyes only see in a 3-dimension state. So let's say you see a cloud in the sky that looks odd and has a very odd shape. You might be seeing the impact of something that is in a 5th dimension, and the result or the impact of it being there is bleeding into the 3rd dimension. So where you would see something like that. So you're not seeing the actual, let's call it if it were a craft. You're not seeing the craft, you're only seeing the result of the craft. So in the same way that you'll see a mountain, a big high peak, and at the top of that peak, you'll see a very specific lenticular cloud. That cloud is there because of the mountain and because of the temperature changes within that mountain. Remove that mountain doesn't mean that there's nothing there. So if there were a mountain in a different dimension, it would still could still cause and impact elements of this 3rd dimension. I hope that helps. Yes, realms are being combined. That's exactly what's taking place. That's why the awakening is happening. Michelle, Merkabah, good or bad? Good or evil? Again, I'm going to say this. I say this over and over. Everything that is good has a bad variant of it. Ark of the Covenant has a physical version of it, right? A physical version of the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark resides in you. They've made a physical version of it. Just like Israel is a physical version of my son Israel. That Jerusalem is a physical variation of the spiritual, the city within you. You become my son Israel, one who battles with the God of this world and contends with him, and then builds the city Jerusalem, where the temple resides, a temple built without hands. So how is a temple built without hands? Because it's a spiritual temple. It's inside you. It's built without hands. So everything that has a physical comes from a spiritual. You have to transcend the physical and all elements and find the spiritual understanding of it, and you'll begin to understand all of Scripture extremely well. Even the things that are taking place within the kings and the going after cities is all coming as a result of spiritual. The spiritual war manifests in a physical way. Everything within Scripture is spiritual in nature, and it'll describe it to you in the physical. Nathan M. says, since we are in contract with Babylon via birth certification or otherwise IMF contracts such as Social Security number, we must attach or must attach our string to his covenant lawfully. I wouldn't say that there's anything that you need to do legally. You just need to separate yourself from any support of that. So it's not as if they're going to allow you to eliminate your birth certificate. You can write and detach yourself from it and say you withdraw all citizenship. You can do that. Doesn't mean they're going to accept it. Bearded Canuck says, I can't wait for the day that Daystar arises in our hearts, then people will see and understand. Yes, they will. Isabel Sanchez says, Mother Earth has a spirit. Your soul is a reflection of the Father. Holy Spirit is your higher self. Let's see. All right, so I've been on probably a much longer than I wanted to. I just wanted to address those, making your home a church. Yes, you are the church. I'll answer this one question. Lisa Palmer, EMP attack. Why would God allow us to go through worse hell than we've been through? I'm done. Can't handle this anymore. This isn't about what God would allow. This is where we have to get away from, why would God allow this? God has allowed you to escape these things. I can promise you that if I can be in a prison and I can be so happy and content with all of the mayhem and everything that takes place within a prison, that's because I'm already free. That none of those things bothered me. And like I've said, even the things that I'm addressing here, they don't bother me. They only bother me because they bother you. So this is where my interaction with you becomes bothersome to me. Not because I don't love you, but because it's a drain. Listening to people not understanding how to separate themselves, wanting to, but then bringing it to me. None of this has anything to do with me. Freeing yourself takes place within yourself. I can't do that for you. Only you can. And so it's not about going through this hell. Like I've said, if fire came and 10,000 tanks were coming at me and they were going to roll over me and blow everything to bits, I would just sit and look at it and go, well, that's interesting. Father needs me to see this. He needs me to play a role in freeing these people and helping them through this. So maybe that's your role. Maybe your role is to help others through it and help them find the peace so they can endure. Those that endure till the end maintain their crown, right? So Ever Castro, Derek, what is 1111? I saw this every day for 3 months after I came out of jail. Is that bad? Again, good and bad. Everything's good and bad. Anytime you're seeing repeats of numbers and things like that, it's an indication that you're actually witnessing and you have visibility to the construct of the matrix, because all of this is math. Sacred geometry isn't the Father's, sacred geometry is the enemy's. And so with that said, also gematria would also be the enemy's. So this is where I say that you need to be very careful as to how you look at these things. Any one of these things that focus on something external to you. If 1111 isn't happening inside your heart, don't trust it. So think of the things that reoccur within you, because that's the only place where the Father is truly protected, is that transmission, that understanding, that conversation that he has with you. That is a protected conversation. The minute you speak it out into the open, it can now be infiltrated and it can be manipulated by the enemy. So be wary of everything. That's why you hold every word captive. Find a different way to convey it if you need to convey it to somebody. But try to be very, very careful in how you orchestrate these things, because the enemy is listening. He is a wolf. He is waiting to consume you. That's what he does. Truth in me. Wait, gematria is evil or understanding of the code? Both. It's all in what position you are in the spiritual. So like I said, gematria is an indication of the matrix, the code that you live within, the simulation that you've been placed within. So you can find certain evidence of things, but don't think of it as godly because it was designed by the enemy. So it's always going to be corrupt. So you can look at it as evidence, but be very wary of things like that. Robert Francis, ebook for your prison book, maybe print to share. Yes, it would also have, I mean, that's the one thing that I will be doing is putting that together because that's the only way I can get this message inside the prisons. So in doing so, I can't necessarily do it on an ebook exclusively for them. It'll actually have to be in a physical book because that's the only way that they'll take it. You know, the prison needs to go through it and make sure that there's nothing hidden in it and make sure there's no drugs in the paper and all of that stuff. So all right, so Troy White, Derek, I joined your Discord, but never see you available there. Do you have time for Discord? I do come into Discord from time to time. I do have conversations. Like I said, lately I've been very busy. Malia's been kicking my butt at the gym and making it. Sometimes it's so hard to even get up out of a chair because she's quite a trainer. So, and it's been, like I said, a lot of time before I've really done workout. I've spent most of my time in books and studying and in the spirit. So I wasn't focused on the physical body, but now she's encouraging me to do that. So with that said, I haven't had a whole lot of time. So with that said, I will encourage all of you, like I said, if you're watching their videos, stop. If you're commenting, stop. If you're just going there to give them a thumbs down, stop. That gives them a view too. It's all pointless and worthless. Don't attack them. I know that they delete comments that aren't vitriol, as I've read in the one video. I know they delete any comment that even remotely supports me or anyone else or Malia. And, you know, Malia was incredibly polite, actually, and just invited them to have a conversation on air or off air. She didn't care. So it's remarkable that what is being conveyed is vitriolic and vile. I've already proven, like I've said, that what comes out of their mouth are lies. So stop supporting them, stop going there, and let them come to the truth on their own, because there is nothing. And if anybody's out there, if there are any anons out there, I know I have lots of supporters and people that would do things. They're going to think it's me. Everything that you do in this body, everybody, please hear this. In this body, everything that you do will reflect on all of us. Everything that you do reflects on all of us. Like I've said, I'm not responsible for what Gordon says or anybody else says. I'm not responsible. What he says is his, period. He has to answer to those things. But at the same time, others that are new into this family, that are new into this truth, understand that what you say and how you act can and will influence them, particularly when they're new to it, because they're very nervous. It takes a lot for them to give up the former dogma programming that they've been programmed with. So I have a deep feeling for this. I do understand, but at the same time, recognize that everything that you do impacts all of us here. We are a family, and if somebody thinks that you're corrupt, then all of you are. That's just how the mind works. That's the Vesca Pisces system at work. So please pay attention to how you conduct yourselves. Conduct yourself always in love, always in the spirit, always with mercy, always with grace, always with understanding, and always, just like it says, be as sly as a serpent and gentle like a dove. Understand how the enemy operates, and they will try to lure you through kind words. They will appear as angels of light. So recognize that. I love you all very much, and I'll talk to you soon, I promise. And I'll try to jump into Discord for a little while later on tonight, all right? So if anybody wants to jump in Discord, I'll try to jump in and have a chat for a little while. I love you very much. I'll talk to you soon. Even my haters, give me a call.